impression the game you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tommaso Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the work out today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and attacked it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it home. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to another episode of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy, as ever, here to host the podcast, and I'm joined this week by John Keogh, who was, after tough negotiations, a bit like Matt O'Gallaghan, had the contract renewed, and we'll have him again during 2025. John, how's things?
Oh, it's good, Tom. Yeah, delighted to be back on. A lot of good feedback from the last time I was on, not because of me now or anything, but the discussion of 2024 year struck a chord with a lot of people, and it's nice to hear that feedback. There's negative feedback, but it's always good to hear the positive stuff as well. So yeah, delighted to be back for another year.
Absolutely, and we're hoping for a bigger and better 2025 after some very good highs indeed in 2024. And John, I think we'll start with senior hurling this week in terms of the Limerick senior hurling team, and people will have been kind of asking themselves where Limerick playing, who they're playing, and who is playing. I think is the big talking point at the moment. They played 2 challenge games last week. Having played UL the week before, as myself and Matt discussed last week, they lined out on Friday evening in UL in North Campus against Antrim, and they won that. I think was by 12 or 13 points. And then on Sunday, Dublin got the better of Limerick. Now, results aside, John, it's interesting to see the makeup of these teams, and who's involved and who's getting their chance, and it's a chance for John Kiely and co to cast the net far and wide, as they've always done at this time of year, to see who will make the cut, who will make the 36 or 37 men that they bring along, and maybe who's in longer term plans. Some of the younger guys might have to bide their time a bit more. So very interesting time, and those 2 challenge games will, I'm sure, have given plenty of food for thought for the management. Yeah,
Tom, this time of year is very much about experimentation with players that have recently, as we saw a training squad announced before Christmas, and working off large parts of that at Limerick for those 2 games. I'm sure the panel, if it hasn't been already, has been cut for league, and with Limerick preparing for another challenge against Waterford in a couple of weeks' time, with both teams obviously on a bye week in the National Hurling Leagues for first round. So yeah, a lot of experimentation as we expected. We saw likes of William Dorr make his first Limerick appearance, just to name one, from Drumnatlacha, getting rewarded with a place on the training panel. For an exceptional year with Drumnatlacha last year and the year before as well, when they got promoted to the Senior Championship, and obviously in 2024 consolidating their place with a few wins there as well. So, but yeah, very much about experimentation with a few senior players mixed in. It's good to see Gerard Hegarty getting out in that Dublin's game. I think he scored 1-2. Dermot Burns in action as well, Seamus Flanagan, but sprinkled with a lot of youth. I'd say the UL game may have been a better, focus on, because a lot of Limerick players played for UL in that game, Limerick panelists as well, and I know we'll get on to the Fitzgibbon Cup conversation in a while. But yeah, this time of year, and the interesting thing is, for the first time in a long time, in certainly a good few years, there's no Co-op Superstores Munster Senior Hurling League. So these challenge games against the likes of Antrim, Dublin and Waterford in a couple of weeks are crucial to league preparation, so which the Co-op Superstores was as well. So yeah, very much experimentation. We saw it. I certainly remember a Limerick Clare game last year. It was a 6 Mile Bridge time we were out to Clare Castle. Sorry, apologies. Well, yeah. On the new Astro in Clare Castle, fantastic setup as it was, and both Limerick and Clare, even that day, as it was a nice cold night, Tom, if I remember correctly.
Oh, nice and cold, yeah.
Yeah, nice and cold, kept us lively and awake anyway. But that game, was exactly what you expect. Plenty of good hurling, plenty of mistakes, plenty of running involved, and plenty of players getting their chance as well. And that's what, as I'll repeat it again, this time of year is all about for John Kiely, Paul Kinnock. And of course, like you've you have a new backroom team in a sense with the likes of Liam Cronin and others coming in, and a few departing as well. So all a bit of getting to know you a bit more on the field as well. I'm sure that they've played in-house games as well of all the strength and conditioning work they've been doing in the off season too. So yeah, Tom, what it really does, these types of games, and especially when they're so accessible out in the likes of the University of Limerick's North Campus, which those two were, and in a couple of weeks, that Waterford game, I believe, is going to be scheduled for McNeville Park. Plenty of opportunity for fans to get a look and see if how's this guy going? Is that guy getting a look in? And it's brilliant. It just whets the appetite more. And it was sent to me today by a former colleague of mine in the Limerick Leader that people are starved of hurling, inter-county hurling. You have to remember the All-Ireland final was last July. We're in January. It's been more than 6 months nearly now since Clare beat Cork in the All-Ireland, and certainly longer than that from Limerick's point of view since they've seen Limerick play an inter-county game. So it really does whet the appetite. Notice the crowd were fairly healthy at both games in UL, and I'm sure it'll be the same in McNeville in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, and that was all without the games being officially advertised, really, for people. And look, I'm sure John Kiley welcomes the support and all that, but they have a job to do in terms of they want to be able to interact with players themselves during games. They want to be able to see what these guys are made of and slowly ramp it up, especially the newer faces. The result, John, that probably stands out to people is the loss to Dublin. And I caveat by saying these results are not important, but one aspect, something that we've probably not seen, is Dublin racked up 4 goals. It's not something we've seen Limerick do too often. And now people might quickly say who was in goals, and Jason Gillan was the goalkeeper. But you'd know, you as someone who's played in goals, in a challenge game like that, there's probably 6 backs that have never played together in that concoction. There's probably 2 midfielders in front of them that maybe not used to the guys behind them, etc., and that's the problem with challenge games sometimes, is that you can get these erratic. You can get great innings at one end, but you can get erratic innings at the other because guys not maybe fully clicking together, and guys will be nervous too, especially guys who are very very much new to it. So that's probably, there's learnings there, I'm sure, for everyone, the players first of all, and then the management about what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, Tom, you hear the words false positives being thrown out in so many different walks of life. I'll throw false negatives into this one as a phrase, because challenge games are used for many, many different things. The reality at this time of year, those players are taking on a ton of work into their legs. So by the time they do get out into the field, at times that their legs won't be where they need to be for a game, what they'd be used to normally. And again, you've the cohesion that a Limerick backline with Nicky Quaid in goals and 6 or 7 or 8 regular backs that are consistently playing together in training, as well as matches consistently over a long, long period of time. You're looking back to, was it 17-18 of the panel of 2018 still involved. So, you're still looking at that type of a cohesive unit, really, really being so used to playing with each other, and so often, being able to be used to those tests that teams will bring. Dublin scoring 4 goals. I wouldn't be reading anything to it. You see 4 goals, you automatically think goalkeeper, but I'm a fully fledged paid up member of the goalkeeping union on this one, Tom. And a lot of the times, if you make a mistake, fair enough, but certain things, you're left with a guy clean through, and you don't have a hope in hell, really. Certainly at inter-county level, whatever club level, you'll be hoping for a miss it, and that it hits you. But at inter-county level, so many different variables involved in that. But people at this time of the year, will be reading into things. And again, that I'll go back to what I said initially. That comes from a hunger into the game. Why did Limerick conceding 4 goals? That it's a game in early January. I wouldn't be and just like with the Co-op Superstores, and even like if we went to a wider discussion, Limerick were a bit more porous last year. You just look at the damage Cork could have done in both games that Limerick lost in the championship last year. Nicky pulling off maybe a few more saves, and in the semi-final, but Nicky pulling off more saves than maybe he was used to in games and needed more from that point of view. But I'm sure all these things have been looked at with a forensic analysis from John Kyle and Paul Kinnerk in the off-season. They're coming into 2025 championship and league season with a plan. And my God, are we going to back them fully with whatever they come up with? Because what they've done so far and what they've been able to conjure up so far during their tenure involved with Limerick senior hurling team. And you've the added question, Tom, of hunger this year. I know we're going to get involved in other discussions throughout the year with regards to this Limerick hurling team, but that was something that was level at times. Would the hunger be there for that drive for 5 last year? For me, it certainly was. In 2 performances, really, Limerick didn't hit their straps and came up against the Cork side that maybe, arguably, were hungrier. I think it certainly looked that day. Cork fighting for their lives in Páirc Uí Chaoimh and All-Ireland semi-final day. They just seemed that they were hungrier again. So that's something maybe Limerick have looked at in the off-season. I'm speculating, because at this time of year, that's all we can do, because we haven't seen a Limerick side out in the field since that game, that semi-final defeat against Cork back in early July. So again, 4 goals conceded, back to your original point. It's not something I'm going to be too concerned about, certainly this time of year.
Yeah, and there's very little confirmed, as we say, with who's in and who's out in the panel. I know that, as you say, the 45-man panel or whatever it was named start of the year, but there's plenty of time for trimming ahead on that. One thing, John, that I think the last time we spoke on this podcast, we were saying we could never tire of seeing, and something that maybe we mightn't see again is this image here. Anyone watching is Declan Hannon being the man to lift silverware on behalf of the Limerick team and Limerick County. His reign as captain has come to an end, gracefully so, I might add. It wasn't forced upon him or whatever. It was a decision by the management, and Cian Lynch will be the captain for 2025, and William O'Donoghue of Na Piarsaigh will be vice captain. Before we come to those two, but John, what about Declan's innings? I mean, crazy stuff altogether. That what he's achieved as captain and what has gone on since he was selected to lead this group. I suppose you think he was first captain in 2018, wasn't it? I don't think he captained in 2017. Maybe I'm open to correction there, but I think it was 2018 was his first season as captain. And
2017.
2017. He was captain in 17 as well. Sorry, yeah. So it's been more than a successful tenure as leader of this ship.
I'd argue, Tom, we're watching a lot of sports for a long period of time, seeing great captains that have won so many different things over there. Obviously, we're going to look local and a bit of heart as well as head in this, that what Declan Hannon has achieved as captain of the Limerick senior hurling team in a 6 to 8 year period, 6 to 7 year period, it's incalculable. It's as good as it gets for Limerick, to win what they've won in that time. And for one man outside of, in 2023, obviously his injury, that precluded him from playing in the All-Ireland final, where Cian Lynch captained Limerick on the day as well. But, you can't put into words Declan's influence. It's been a very low-key transition of captaincy, which is a mark of the Limerick management and how they operate and how the squad operates in itself. Anyone that's ever talked to Cian or Declan, over the years knows how highly they regard each other, which is no surprise that it's Cian that's taken over from Declan either, with Will O'Donoghue, who has been, vice captain and captain many times for Limerick over the years as well. But it's crazy, Tom. We never dreamed of winning these things. It would be told you were a madman in 2018 if you said Limerick were going to win what they've won in that period of time. And for one man to be leading that in the way he's led it as well. I mean, Declan Hannon, he is a man of few words, certainly in public to us at times, but he's a leadership by example. And Cian, funnily enough, I think will be exactly the same. I don't think Cian Lynch is one for big rousing speeches. He's a man who gets on with his job and does it so well. And when he's not captain and when he's on the field, one of the most unselfish players I've ever seen. I think that will transition into his leadership. When he was captain for the 23 All-Ireland final, it was very much talking about doing it for Declan, and Declan had done the same thing when Cian missed the previous year. It's for Declan's tenure, it'll be remembered as the greatest era of a Limerick captain. I don't think it's going to be better, sadly. I wish I could say in our lifetime it would be.
If it is, John, well, we won't complain.
No, we won't complain. We're in for one hell of a ride if that's the case.
Yeah.
Words, Tom, from the likes of me and you and many of others in this in these media outlets and stuff won't get near describing what Declan Hannon has done for Limerick hurling. I think where he'll be acutely missed, and not missed in that sense, but where he'll be thought most of and highest of will be within that group of players that have played with Declan Hannon. Not just since 2017, but even before that. I heard Seamus Hickey talking about him and Cian Lynch recently, and I think it was on Off the Ball during the week, and talking about this exact topic. And that's essentially it, I think, for Declan. Declan being such a quiet person in public, we've heard it over the years. There's different things said about different people, but I've never, I can only judge someone by what I know of them, and what I know of Declan Hannon is an outstanding leader. He's looked upon by his fellow players as, as high as can possibly be, and that shows a mark of the person, and the mark of his quality outside of being an outstanding leader. He's been an outstanding player, and that's often been forgotten with regards to Declan Hannon. For me, some of the things he's done in this period of time on the field as a player, forget about the captaincy for a moment. Certainly coming up with scores, would have been regarded as one of the greatest scores ever if Tony Kelly hadn't got that sideline cut in the Munster final a couple of years ago. Declan's point from long range came out of nowhere to win the ball, akin to Kieran Carey in 1996. May not have been lauded as much, but it was that good a score that is genuinely forgotten about. I know myself and yourself were there and marvelling at it when I went over the bar, thinking Limerick had done it again, which they ended up doing in extra time. But and I think that'll be the biggest thing for Declan, going back to that point, is that he will be remembered as a great leader, but I think he'll be remembered as a great teammate more than anything else, and that kind of brings into itself what it's all about, really. He led by example, played by example, and I think he'll continue to contribute by example. I don't for one second think that Declan Hannon's inter-county career is over. Not for one second do I believe that. Maybe other people know different than us, but my reading of it from the outside looking in is certainly that Declan has plenty to offer. What it does say maybe is that Declan isn't a guaranteed starter in this team going forward. But Tom, or like, how many of them are the guaranteed starters? You can maybe say Keane is, but is he? I like any of them. We all have our ideas, but I refer back to when Limerick lost to Cork in the All-Ireland semi-final. John Kiley saying there'll be plenty of changes next year. He was talking about players and he was talking about management as well. And he was talking very much on the plural. We've seen a couple of players step away, in the likes of Graham Mulcahy and Richie English, confirmed to have stepped away from the Limerick panel. There's a couple of players gone. The one thing that was very noticeable when this announcement came last Sunday was there was no mention of Declan Hannon stepping away from the Limerick panel as a player. So I expect to see Declan Hannon pushing for his place like everyone else, and just throwing it into the mix as well like everyone else. There's no place on that, in no position in that field, or no player on that team over the last number of years that has their place very much safe. So that's the interesting thing that Limerick have. There's 4 or 5 players champing at the bit to get into that starting lineup, and you add to the guys that missed part of last year, namely Barry Nash in the semi-final against Cork, Darragh O'Donovan for much of the season, and obviously Peter Casey for a large part of the Munster Championship and All-Ireland Series. And no one can tell me that Darragh O'Donovan and Peter Casey are at the top of the list, along with Adam English, Shane O'Brien, Cathal O'Neill, David Reedy, those who have made their way onto that starting 15 in recent years. Plenty of competition for places, long as with the likes of Colin Coughlin and those that have been thereabouts in the last number of years as well. And bring it on is what I say. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a perfect storm. I think the thing, hopefully, with Declan, and while there's no probably weight being captain, there is certainly a responsibility that maybe we can't put into words and we can't quantify, but it might rejuvenate him in terms of now he can just focus on his own role. And not to say he wasn't, but he solely put 100% into securing his own position and concentrating his own role, whereas obviously before, even if it's just going up for the toss, that is a distraction, and leading the team around and all the rest of it, and speeches from your in finals and all that goes with that, and it's obviously his speeches will be memorable in a lot of ways. Obviously, Larry McCarthy incorrectly gave him the wrong club one year,
and he was very quick to correct the outgoing GA president as well.
Yeah, and he was quick himself, I suppose, he misstepped himself last year when saying Limerick had a backroom team was it of 53 people or something like that. So
I think in fairness, it was a group of 50 odd, including players as well. That was what was forgotten, and the fact that he had to clarify it said so much about the narrative around Limerick senior hurling team. They have a fair backroom team, but I think that got blown out of proportion. One thing I will say, just to finish on this point, from my point of view, Tom, how valuable for the likes of Cian Lynch and William O'Donoghue, who are great leaders in their own right. We've seen William O'Donoghue captain the Pearshire for God knows how long now, as well, to have Declan to lean on if they have an issue, as well in there. For me, that's the other side of things. Like, what better person to get advice from if they have a thought about something or something they're not sure of. You have a guy that has led Limerick to 5 All-Irelands, and 4 All-Irelands in a row, and 6 Munster titles in a row. Like, we could keep going about the leagues and all the things that Limerick have won in Declan Hannon's tenure. That to me is another added layer to it as well, that it's not as if Declan Hannon has gone away. He's there still, as you said, fighting for a place, concentrating on keeping his place on the team and fighting for Limerick's cause. But my God, there's a wealth of experience to draw upon there as well.
Yeah, there certainly is. Yeah, no, it's interesting. And obviously William O'Donoghue is 30 now, Cian Lynch 28, I think, only last week, and Declan himself 31. So like they're not over the hill, but there's loads of experience there, and decades, or each of them has a decade at least done at intercounty level in various forms. It's so plenty of experience there, and it's not by I'm sure it was an easy decision in one way to hand the captaincy over to someone like Cian Lynch, obviously captain his own club even this season as well, so I'm sure John Kiley knows everything about Cian in terms of trying to lead this group. Okay, moving to schools action, John, in terms of hurling, we might as well stay. Ardscoil Reach was the school for those 3 men, William O'Donoghue, Cian Lynch and Declan Hannon all attended Ardscoil Reach, but their quest for the 2025 Harty Cup has come to an end. It was played in the North Campus, another game out in that venue. During the week you were at it, and Ardscoil Reach, I suppose, very much second best on the day. I think they went from a point up to 15 points down, which is remarkable shooting from the Tipperary men, and ultimately Ardscoil Reach just left themselves way too much to do in the second half and bow out of the competition. Yeah,
Tom, it was an interesting opening quarter. It was very, very much tit for tat. Thurles CBS, of course, their opponents were looking very dangerous in that opening quarter, but Ardscoil were well in the contest, and it has to be added as well. I don't hate using injuries and the excuse and stuff, but we're talking about the calibre of player that Ardscoil were missing for that game, and have been missing all year, in fairness, in the likes of Mark O'Brien and James Coughlin, younger brother of Colin. I'm sure a young man you know well, and the quality he has within his armoury, even at this young age. He's a highly regarded talent within Limerick hurling. Mark O'Brien is one of the best young hurlers in the country, and minor All-Ireland, the winner with Clare, and has been outstanding for Ardscoil Reach for a number of years at this level. Harty Cup Mark, I was keeping a keen eye on him. It's against Limerick in, was it last year's minor under 20s? I'm just trying to remember.
That was 20s, yeah.
20s last year against Limerick last April.
Cruciate, wasn't it? Yeah.
And for the second time, I believe he did as a young fella as well at the age of 12, 13. So, he's out since last April. Had been part of warm-ups and different things, but was very unlikely to play any part in the game. Just coming back to really not far off full fitness, maybe a month or so off, and maybe if they got to a final, he could have been. But on the day itself, that second quarter of the game finished it. 8-7 up Ardscoil. I think it was Keith Loughnane, the Thurles CBS centre back, a huge man, 6'3", 6'4", dominating presence at centre back. He got a lovely score from distance, and that just set off an incredible scoring run of 2-10 without reply for the Tipperary school, and that really did. Ardscoil just had no answer. It was just wave after wave of attack. The first goal coming in the 21st minute for Jack Hayes, the corner forward of Thurles CBS, and then the second from an outstanding player and big talent on this Thurles CBS team, and Cormac Fitzpatrick, but of a number of players, Robbie Ryan, forwards coming out from all angles, putting scores over from every angle you can think of, and it was just a scoring blitz that there was no answer to. I don't see how Ardscoil could have answered it, really. There was just no stopping. As I said, it was wave after wave. And those 2 goals in particular, the points you could have crawled back maybe in the second half with a bit of pressure on, but those 2 goals on top of the 10 points really, just made it impossible. 15-point deficit at half-time. And they did reduce that to 8, in fairness. I think it was the 225 to 23. The final score, and it was a good. Look, you'd argue it was more like akin to a training session in the second half. Thurles CBS certainly dropped the intensity levels. Ardscoil played better hurling and for more sustained periods. But for me, the telling thing was we've had Patrick Carney, likes of Patrick Carney, and Sean Arthur. Sorry, I just missed out. Was the other player, another injury for Sean Arthur. Saw him miss the game as well, a hamstring injury. But Patrick Carney has been scoring all around him. throughout this competition. Couldn't get into the game. Very big talent within Limerick hurling. They're young fella. And then you had Michael Collins, who's another outstanding Clare talent, who's an All-Ireland winner as well. He was the other big scoring threat throughout this competition thus far for Ardscoil Reach in the knockout or in the group stages. He scored 5 points from play, but he was joined on that by halfback Owen Brosnan from the Piercy, who was outstanding on the day, by far and away Ardscoil's most influential player. But it just shows how much they struggled in the forward line to get anything going when a wing back was joined score with one of your forwards and Michael Collins. And one bright spark actually outside of those in the Ardscoil team was Ian O'Brien, who's the younger brother of Mark O'Brien from Cratloe, funnily enough, who's I believe only 15 years of age, and another big talent coming through. He scored 3 points from play. But look, all over the park, they were in trouble early on in defence. The quality of ball coming in from the Thurles defenders, it was going directly from the half back line into the full forward line, and try as they might, the full back line, including Sean Morrissey, former minor captain with Limerick a couple of years ago from Drumnatlack, and Adam Fitzsimons from the Piercy, they just didn't know. They couldn't they just couldn't shore up the defence in any which way. The ball coming in was too good, and the quality of the Thurles forwards just proved too much on the day. And look, that is it. It was another well-vaunted Ardscoil Reach team. They're without a Harty Cup now, I think, since 2018, although they've won a Crow Cup in the meantime there as well. But Niall Cronin's management team will be desperately disappointed with the manner of defeat for sure, and the performance on the day. It just didn't happen, but I will go back and say, take any of those 3 players out of any team, they're 3 of their best players, and certainly the likes of Mark O'Brien would make a telling impact, as well as James Coughlin would in the defence midfield area as well. So tough one for Ardscoil. Yeah, certainly is. And you mentioned it was 2 cruciate injuries for the Mark O'Brien. It was 2 dislocated knees, 1 in each knee for James Coughlin. So some lads have absolutely no luck when it comes to injuries. So hopefully their injury woes are behind them, and 2025 will shine a bit brighter for them on the injury front. 2 of them, I'm sure, nearing a return to fitness, having missed the majority of last season. Okay, John, just to wrap up the schools action, I know Matt will lynch me if I don't mention Scoil Pole. They're in under 19B action tomorrow. That's Thursday the 16th of January. They're playing in Feathertown Park against Colashta and Spirit Nave of Bishopstown. So this one, I think, rescheduled for maybe the 3rd time, but hopefully now feathered, all weather, all good to go, all systems go, and Scoil Pole will be looking to book their place in the semi-finalists. The other 3 semi-finalists confirmed, but we'll see can Limerick keep their involvement in it through Scoil Pole. And obviously we mentioned it already, John, affair, the 2 of us, that Scoil Pole, after success last year nationally in the C competition, looking to kick on and go a little bit better, or go just as well, I should say, in the B competition. Mentioning the C competition, Salesian College, Secondary College, Pallaskenry. I should know the name of it because I went there, but I was going to say, got into the semi-final. They marched into the semi-final. They were on the Páirc Uí Chaoimh AstroTurf on Monday afternoon. They defeated Glanmire Community College 6-20 to 1-8, and heavy involvement there, of course, from Kildare, Pallaskenry, and indeed from neighbouring clubs, Askeaton, Ballyskeen, Kilcornan and Ballybrown, I believe, making up the panel there. So good to see them marching into the semi-final. Fixture details for that one to be confirmed, but a really emphatic victory, as I said, 6-20 to 1-8. So well done to all involved there. So we'll bring you up to date with the semi-final pairing for that when indeed we have it. Okay, John, I think we've covered plenty on the hurling side of things. We'll might as well stay on the captain route, and we'll move to men's football now. We'll come to ladies again in a moment. Men's football have had a change of captaincy as well. Killian Fahy is going to be the captain of Limerick men's football team for 2025, and Tommy Childs of Galtee Gales will be vice captain. And just another, I suppose, a case of freshening it up. Ian Corbett had been either sole captain or had been joint captain for many years, and in fairness to him, had injury trouble the last couple of seasons. So Ian's still on the panel, a bit like Declan Hannon, still on the panel. But a new lease of life, hopefully, from that point of view, in terms of Killian Fahy of Drumcutter Broadford is going to lead the team this season. Yeah, and again, in so many respects, Ian Corbett maybe not with the same silverware as Declan Hannon, but just as influential player for Limerick on the football senior football side of things. Tom, yeah, look, as you mentioned, has sometimes shared the captaincy with Donald O'Sullivan for a long period of time. We've both come across Ian for a number of years covering club football and inter-county football. Another captain that leads by example. You know, if something's to be done, Ian takes so much responsibility on himself to do it. Maybe at times too much from his own point of view, you know, in the sense that, you know, he's such a talented player that he probably asks too much of himself is what I'm getting at times. You know, and again, you mentioned the injury troubles he's had in the last number of years with Limerick, but suffered a very, very tough injury playing club football with Newcastle West last year as well.
Yeah, but he's back now, John. He's been playing early.
Yeah, no, I know, but I just wanted to highlight that, and that shows the powers of recovery, because it was such a serious injury. It happened early in the championship campaign, and just again shows the mark of the man that he has come back, Dom, and is ready for action again for Limerick. You know, in their two games this year today, like it just again shows the mark of a man being an outstanding captain for Limerick, along with Donald Sullivan, who you and Matt would have spoken about, I'm sure, last year, and we spoke about after his exit from the Limerick panel. You know, Ian has just been outstanding captain at club level as well. And, you know, again, I'll repeat what I said about Declan Hannon, words that myself and yourself, you know, won't come close to it. But I was reading his fellow clubmate Billy Lee's post him on X when the news broke that Killian McFahey was taking over, and how highly he speaks of Ian Corbett. Just tells you all you need to know from my point of view anyway, given the mark of a man that Billy Lee is. You know, again, invaluable to this Limerick senior football team, which has involved so much transition, has involved more transition in the off-season with management and background team changing as well. You know, there's been lots of chopping and changing with Jimmy Lee and Micheál Cahill still involved, and I believe Paran in with them for the year ahead as well, former Limerick player as well. So, you know, it's vital that Ian stays a part of that panel. He's such an influential player, and hopefully over his injury woes that have blighted his last 2 years on the field. A word on Killian, has been a fantastic member, just like Ian, of that Limerick senior football panel for a long period of time now. Has always been one of the leaders of the group, and I think Tommy Childs' return to the fold last year has automatically brought him back into it as well as one of the leadership group. And you know, guys that lead by, go on, Tom.
I should have mentioned Barry Coleman. They've joined vice captain.
Vice captain as well. Yeah, sorry, I was getting there. Don't worry.
It slipped my mind there. Sorry. So it's
didn't
Tommy
slip mine.
Barry Coleman. Yeah.
And on that point, Tommy with a lot of experience, relatively young man still. But Barry Coleman is one of the players in the last 3 years that has made their way onto the team, let alone the panel, in the last 2 or 3 years. You know, and has been a breath of fresh air in his performances for this Limerick senior football team, and shows how highly regarded he is, that he has been brought into that leadership group as well, that I'm sure Ian Corbett will remain a big part of as well. So, you know, it's great to see the likes of Killian stepping into a role he's assumed before, I've no doubt. Maybe not with the captain's armband, so say it, but of that leadership role within the team and within the panel. Tommy Childs would have had something similar to that, I'm sure. And now Barry Coleman, you know, stepping into that. So it's a great thing for Limerick football to have these type of characters that are able to step into the breach when, you know, Ian may, I don't know what the decision was, whether it was Ian's choice or maybe with a little bit of freshness with Ian's long-term future in mind. I don't know, but, you know, a change is as good as a new run, Tom. And, you know, it's a much changed Limerick football, you know, scenario in the last couple of years since Billy Lee's departure. But hopefully there's a bit of the one thing in this captaincy change has shown there's a bit of, you know, that the players are known, you know, that there isn't radical change. It's Killian Fahey's a steady hand, and you know, something hopefully to keep Limerick on an even keel. You know, it's been a tough couple of years after having a great few years, getting to Division 2. You know, competing in Munster Championship, getting to a Munster final, albeit in a fairly heavy defeat to Kerry 2 years ago as well. And then when Billy left, it didn't work out with Ray Dempsey. You know, there was a lot of people thought Mark Fitzgerald should have got the job. He went for it. Jimmy Lee got the job, and you know, and rightly so in our eyes as well, with the success he's had with Newcastle West at club level as well. So, you know, we need consistency. We need, a steady hand with Limerick senior football over the next number of years. And, with a big year ahead, Tom, that Division 4 is there to be won. We've seen Limerick, do it in the last, only a few years ago. And there's no question, I think that the talent is certainly there. We've seen players like Emmett Richter break through. We've seen the likes of Barry Coleman come through, Tommy Childs returning. There's plenty of talent within Limerick football. We're blue in the face from saying it. But, it still needs to be done on the field. It's one thing people saying this guy's good enough, this guy's good enough. Players have to show it themselves. And, hopefully in 2024, a good run, maybe in Munster, maybe not, but a good run to Tailteann Cup and a good league performance with hopefully a promotion in mind would be fantastic.
Yeah. And just to, I suppose, on the Ian Corbett thing, he would have captained Limerick to 2020 McGrath Cup, which at the time was no small achievement for this Limerick team, and it's actually probably laid the foundation for winning Division 4 later in 2020, albeit there was,
absolutely it did. Absolutely, yeah.
There was probably 6 months in between of little action, but certainly the belief was there, I think, after a very, very good win over a strong Cork outfit, and it's in the pre-season competition, and they won the Division 4 league, and in fairness to Ian, I don't think he even went up to collect the cup. He let Donald O'Sullivan go up and collect it, and that wasn't there for the limelight, just was there.
And that's a mark of the man, Tom. A mark of the man.
Yeah. Although maybe neither of them wanted to collect it, but someone had to go up. And then would have been still captain, when they got to the league final in 2022, and went to Croke Park and beaten by Louth, but nevertheless, league final, as you say, a Munster final appearance in there as well, and things probably. The downward spiral of the team, the fact that Ian hasn't been fully fit has coincided with that. There's probably no coincidence there. He's a real leader from either wing back or centre back, and just fitness troubles the last couple of years has been a very stop-start nature to his performances and his involvement in the same. Then maybe with the results, and hopefully, I suppose he'll be back fully fit for the league campaign that comes into focus now in the next 10 days time really. And Limerick need to start taking the first steps back out of Division 4. Like, you don't need to get out of it this year, but certainly need to be knocking on the door, I think, and trying to pick up some positive results. It'll be an interesting league campaign ahead. So best wishes to Killian, the new team captain, Killian Fahy, and indeed to vice captains Tommy Childs and Barry Coleman. And sorry, Barry, I almost forgot you there to start. So certainly has been one of the most consistent players in Limerick since he made his debut a couple of seasons ago. Okay, John, where to next? I think we'll have a look at the ladies football, and we'll stay on the captains front, and two very important players that have captained Limerick ladies football. We'll actually look at their league fixtures as well in a second. Roisin Ambrose is going to be the joint captain for the season, and she's of course of the club in Old Mill, and Yvonne Lee of Monaghan will be joint captain with her. I suppose two players that have soldiered hard and long and hard now with this team, and I suppose they'll be hoping that they can inspire their teammates, and that this year will be the year that they make the breakthrough in the championship, and maybe a year of I suppose I was going to say they want to stay steady in Division 3, and build then for a good run at the junior championship. And two impressive players, two good leaders there, I think it's fair to say, for the ladies football for this year.
100%. Tom Roisin's been captain for the last couple of years as well with Yvonne, and you couldn't wish for two better leaders. Yvonne has guided Monaghan to county title success on numerous occasions, I think, certainly once anyway. Two vitally important players to Sean Kiley and Michael Quilligan as well. So, it's again continuity. I said it about the senior footballers. It's so important. And we have two leaders of that ilk, like Roisin has long before she was captain has been one of the leaders in this team. Her rampaging runs from midfield have done, not only ending in scores more often than not, but it gives teams a lift as well. And again, another one of those players that leads by example. It's so good to see, that has the height of respect from her teammates, and Yvonne the exact same thing. So I think it's a very big year for this ladies football team. You mentioned Division 3. They've wanted to be in Division 3 for a long time now by finishing the top two in the league last year. They're getting that opportunity now, getting to the league final. They're getting that opportunity now to test their wares against better opposition. I know they do it in the junior championship. They have done over the last number of years, but by playing better teams, Tom, by competing against better players, naturally those Limerick players will become better themselves and can only augur well for the championship then later in the year. Like I said, it's a big year. It's a big year for those two, but it's a big year for that group as a whole. They've come so close to silverware over the last number of years. We mentioned in the roundup of 24, myself, yourself, and Matt, of heartbreaking 2 league finals in Birr. They'll never want to see maybe Birr's ground again, And obviously that devastating loss in 2023 to Down up in Croke Park, where I'd say it was a game of missed chances. They had so many chances on the day and just fell in the last 10 minutes with a lucky goal. I'll still maintain that free was taken from the wrong place and all that and whatever else. Limerick harshly treated by referees. Maybe I'm beating the same drum as Matt for a change. It does, doesn't it? Not to have a go at referees or anything, but on a serious note, I'll reiterate that it is a very big year. They've come so close, in the last number of years. It's the second year as well for Sean Kiley and Michael Quilligan in charge. They'll be looking at incremental improvements, to use a John Kiley phrase, but it'll be very much that. And they're not very far away from silverware. I mentioned as well, on that review of 2024, it's tit for tat against Fermanagh. 1 year we beat Fermanagh, 1 year we lose to Fermanagh, and it's a bizarre sequence of events over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's always at the semi-final stage as well. It seems to be. So it is like the old saying from an old film now, the old American football film. It's a game of inches, Tom. Sport, every sport and every result comes down to invariably those little inches that can fall on your side or the opposition side. And in any given Sunday, it proved to be the case, and it does. I know it's an American football film, but it does prove to be the case so often. Those little things can go for you and against you. And look, I'll argue they haven't gone. I mentioned the Down All-Ireland final, the All-Ireland Junior final, where to me it was a criminal decision from the referee. I was commentating for the radio on it with Tommy Stack, and we just couldn't get over the free being taken from the wrong place and quickly in front of it as well. But look, you then had the farce a couple of years ago in the league final where Limerick had to travel to Birr to face Offaly on their home ground, which, where's that kind of stuff coming from?
Yeah.
It doesn't add up. And so they're the kind of things I'm talking about, those kind of inches that don't seem to fall on this Limerick ladies football teams, on their side. And Graham Shine was certainly one that felt, in his 2 years in charge, that they definitely were on the wrong side of those decisions. Maybe not so much last year, the league final. They had their chances against Carlow, on that day. I still think this, and I know me and Matt have argued on this platform and off this platform about a free taker. I think Limerick are still badly in need of a top class free taker, and that's not saying that not with disrespect to anyone. Deborah Murphy was taking the frees at times last year, and Deb is an outstanding footballer. I'm not having a go at her or anyone else, but a lack of a 90%, 95% free taker has cost Limerick, a couple of games here and there. If they had it, they might have some of the silver. Again, I will go back to what I'm saying. That's the inches I'm talking about. Those kind of little things, that all add up to get you over the line. And and that's to be seen. As the league starts in the coming weeks, have Limerick found that little bit of extra? I believe they have a stronger panel than what they had last year. They've added to it, which may be the detriment to the Camogie panel. We'll talk about that maybe another time. With dual players, is such a contentious issue for so long that you're with the scheduling between the Camogie and ladies football, you're probably in the process of getting rid of dual players if it already hasn't happened. So maybe they're just maybe those additions of a couple of players here, maybe a couple of younger players coming onto the scene could do them the world of good. And hopefully this time, if we're doing an end of year review for 2025, we're talking glowing terms about the ladies football side yet again, as we always do, for their efforts and how close they come. But hopefully there's a bit of silverware behind it.
Yeah. And just to, I suppose, to bring it into sharper focus in terms of what's down the channel, John, the little NFL Division 3 campaign. It starts on Sunday week. That's the 26th of January, with Limerick hosting the aforementioned Down. So nothing better than playing someone like that to maybe focus the minds. That's actually scheduled for 12:30 p.m. start in Mungers GA Club grounds. So yeah, a nice way to start with a 12:30 start on Sunday the 26th. Limerick opening their campaign with 2 home games against Down, as I said, on the 26th, and then a week later they will play Wexford also on home soil. Then 2 away trips to Offaly and Carlow. Then they'll face Laois at the start of March before a couple of weeks break before they play their 3rd home game, which is against Louth, and they round out the campaign against Cavan. Now, there's probably an expectation here that Limerick probably won't be at the upper ends of this league, having come up from Division 4. But I suppose, John, I think I can't remember the last time Limerick went up. The exact year now has escaped me. Was it maybe 2015 or 16? I could be wrong to say they were up, and I think they came straight back down. So the aim surely here is to finish kind of mid-table, and let's see, can they pick up a couple of home wins, maybe get a win on the road as well, and be competitive in the 7 games for sure. Pick up enough points to stay in the division, and then they have a platform then in future years to kick on. And like we've seen in ladies football in recent years, Meath is the greatest example of all. I think they went from Division 3 to Division 1. They went from intermediate to winning the senior. And look, while Limerick are not on that plane, that level just yet, there's no reason why Limerick can't slowly get that incremental improvement you spoke about, and be very competitive in Division 3 for a couple of seasons at least, and then maybe start looking up the other end. But the first year is crucial here to get it right and make sure they're in it in 2026.
That's it, Tom, and that is 100% the focus, I'm sure, of the management team and the players. That that it's consolidation. It's an awful, like you'd love back-to-back promotions and all that. There's a lot of talent in that Division 3 of the little
lot of intermediate, lot of intermediate.
A lot of intermediate. Yeah, I'll go back to you made the home games, Tom. Where were the home games again? You Louth, down Louth, and the third
down in Wexford, the first 2 up at home, and then Louth in round 6. Yeah. So
well, certainly the down game first up is crucial for me. The first game of the league is absolutely it sets the tone, and the fact that there's maybe a little bit of residual hurt, which is always a positive. You don't want to overdo that side of things, but it's a nice little thing for each individual that was involved in that Limerick team that lost it down on All-Ireland final day, that maybe maybe there's something in that for them. You wouldn't harp on it, and you talk then the Louth get the Wexford game. Wexford game will be tough, high quality team over the years that have kind of fallen on a few hard times maybe in recent years in comparison to where they were. Same with Laois. Have to be said, Laois were a top tier team not that long ago, and again have dipped down the rankings, certainly from a league point of view. And then you have your like Louth, something similar. That they're a team that can, that on their day will beat a lot of teams higher up than that. Where I'd be focusing for Limerick are them home games. You'd be hopeful of getting maybe 1 or 2 wins there, and then target the Carlow and Offaly games. Limerick had beaten Offaly 2-3 years ago in Division 4 when Offaly had fallen that far, and Limerick beat them in atrocious conditions out in Martinstown. I remember I was at the game. It was
I remember seeing the video of you, John.
Yeah, that was the second game against London. I think was the second.
Oh, was it sideways rain?
2 weeks. Yeah, it was sideways rain. Let alone the rain, the wind that came with it. I remember. It was just a disaster of conditions. But I think the London was either one of them. They were both bad, but one was particularly bad, worse than the other. But Limerick beat Offaly that day. So they'll fancy their chances maybe in that one as well to get away, and they've beaten Carlow many times over the last number of years. The difference between the sides in that league final was Clean and Ishe, who's an outstanding, would get on pretty much every team in the country with her talent, and just happens to be playing with her county in Carlow, and she was very much the difference in the league final last year.
Yeah, she actually helped her club. The double bar club. I can't think of the name of it. They actually helped them to the
Bennekerry Tinneryland, is it?
That's the one. Yeah. My pronunciation wouldn't be as good as that now, John. But she helped.
I'm not sure if mine is right either. But
I think it's an All-Ireland intermediate there just before Christmas. So like, she is, and I actually didn't see the game, but once I saw it was her club, I knew that was her club, and I'd say her fingerprints were all over it, and I'd say she'd managed a match sewn up, from what I was told, well and truly before half time. So
an outstanding individual player.
Yeah.
So, but Limerick have beaten Carlow with Clean Shea in the team as well, over the years as well. I think the last time I was down watching them in Carlow, Clean Shea was out with a cruciate ligament, and Limerick came away with a comprehensive victory. They've always been tight battles between Limerick and Carlow, two very evenly matched teams. So I don't think Carlow and Offaly will hold much fear travelling down. Certainly they have a lot of experience down in Carlow, not so much in Offaly. I think the only time in recent years was that game out in Martinstown. So there are winnable games, and is what I'm getting at, Tom. And I'm sure knowing Sean Kiley and Michael Culligan as we do, they'll be focused. They'll have their eyes on probably every game, knowing them. Yeah. But there'll be certainly more games. I'm sure they'll focus on than others, and that's just being realistic. And I would imagine first home game against Down, and those two away games, trying to get something from them. Now we could be well off the mark with that. They could be targeting every home game, and maybe not so much with the away ones. But it's crucial that they get off to a great start if they're going to stay up in Division 3. No question about it.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Yeah, I suppose a block of 3 up first anyway, as we said. So 3 Sundays in a row, then they have a bit of a break, and then a block of 2, and then another break, and a final block of 2. So managing the squad is going to be important. 7 league games is not for the faint-hearted, I'd say. So they'll really test the durability of this Limerick squad. But nevertheless, we hope they can start picking up the points early doors. So as I said, it's starting on January 26th. That's a Sunday. 12:30 p.m. throw-in, slightly earlier than originally advertised. So 12:30 p.m. throw-in, Limerick versus Down in Mungret St. Paul. So a great chance to get along and see the ladies and see how they find it out, how they find things in Division 3.
Great for the All-Ireland junior champions to be hosting the first Limerick game of 2025 as well. Must be known. I'm saying that seriously, Tom. It's a fantastic.
It is. We know how progressive Mungret are in terms of bringing in
a great venue as well for games. Absolutely.
Yeah, very accessible even from other parts of the county. Nice and not too hard for a lot of people to get to. Okay, so that's ladies football, John. We may move now to Camogie, and we'll maybe look at I'll look at the Camogie League fixtures in a minute for the Limerick team. We've not heard an awful lot from them. They've quietly gone about their business this winter, but we'll talk about the Limerick senior team in a minute. But looking at the Ashbourne Cup, which was commenced last evening. UL, of course, are defending champions. There's plenty of Limerick involvement across the team and management, and they comprehensively started their campaign with a 6-30 to 2-5 victory, or 2-6 anyway, all the one, over SETU Waterford on home soil last evening. John, when you look, I think I sent you the team earlier that UL had lined out. Not a bad squad. So I'm going to say 15. Not a bad. Maybe 25 or 30 that they have at their disposal, and we know Declan Nash is he's a part of the management. Dervla Egan is there as well. Aina McGargan, they're some of the Limerick connections. And on the field as well, John, we must mention Stephanie Wolfe of Temple Glanton, Shauna Cunningham of Killeedy listed to start, and Quiva Lyons of Monleen was at full forward. And not a bad Limerick, or not a bad UL team, I should say, with sprinklings of talent from Clare, Tipperary, Galway. I think Kenny as well in there, Waterford. The bits of everything there. Yeah,
I'm just looking at the team as we're talking, Tom. An outstanding Camogie team. It's something, Dinny Ferncombe still involved as well, of course, who we spoke to plenty of times a couple of years ago. We're not going to get drawn on that again. No. You mentioned Declan Nash, and you mentioned the players as well. I want to pick out Quiva Lyons as one of them. You mentioned them. Quiva's been on that panel now for a number of years. And an extraordinary player for Limerick senior Camogie team over the years as well. It's great to see so much Limerick talent. We've seen that Ashbourne Cup team over the years, with maybe one or two sprinklings of 1 or 2 Limerick players. There's a hell of a lot more involved, which is great to see, as well. But I'd call it a statement of intent, Tom, that victory last night against SETU Waterford. Look, they're Ashbourne Cup champions. We mentioned it a few weeks ago in the roundup of 2024, how every year they're there at the precipice of either winning it or coming very close or being thrown out illegally. And sorry, I went back to it. I did go back. You went there, yeah. I couldn't help it. We sure, despite our best efforts, couldn't get any answers from the Camogie Association. And, I'm still waiting on a phone call back. I think you are as well, Tom. Yeah. Moving on from that, look, UL are an outstanding. We'll get on to the Fitzgibbon, I know, fairly shortly, but that the Ashbourne Cup is a massively important higher education competition. UL have been at the forefront of it for so long now, and judging by that result alone and by the quality of that squad that's in there, my God, are they going to be a hard team to beat again? They've high quality people involved on and off the field, Tom, and when you have that, you're not going too far wrong. I know that there's plenty, like they've had great battles with UCC over there and DCU and UCD as well in it, but looking at that team there, there's a ton of talent.
It's impressive.
It's as impressive in its own way as the Fitzgibbon Cup team, which we're going to get onto in a minute. And with guys like Denny Ferncombe and Declan Nash, who we know a fair bit as well. They're like, Declan's been a former Limerick Camogie manager, former Limerick Camogie trainer as well, and he's much vaunted in different circles and strength and conditioning, and involved in the coaching teams as well. So like with guys like Declan, Denny involved, and those Aines who well, and I know well, you've very good people involved, and when you've top class talent off the field as well as on it, you're on a winner. And I've no doubt that a few months' time, and the Ashbourne Cup is said and done, the next 6 weeks or so, or however long the competition runs, I'd say we could be talking about another UL victory.
Well, next up for them is TUD, which is Technical University of Dublin, I think. These names I'm still not used to them. They've changed about 6 years at this stage. But anyway, TU Dublin, which probably will represent a bigger step up in class for them, but nevertheless, UL true to it. It's slightly different format this year. The winners will play winners. I think losers play losers, and then there's a bit of a backdoor, a bit like the Sigerson Cup, the way that's being run as well. So yeah, let's see how UL fare in that. But off to a flyer of a start, and I'm sure they've plenty more to say in that competition. They'll be looking to go one better than they did in the league when UCC got the better of them, and Matt didn't pay me to say that, but anyway, we'll see how it bears out. Staying on the third level stuff, Jana, it probably meant to actually bring it up earlier in the piece. The Fitzgibbon Cup throws in today, 15th of January, the Wednesday, and probably by the time people hear or see this, the games will have the opening round games have been played. But I suppose just touching on it from a high level point of view, and Limerick with Limerick glasses on, Mary Immaculate College, obviously they're trying to defend their crown that they won against the University of Limerick last season. Both as is always with college teams, they lose players, but both still have cores of what they had last year. The UL team, we were discussing it ourselves. They're a very impressive panel put together. Mary I also very strong looking for the year ahead. Toots Midwest throw in tomorrow evening as well. So plenty of Limerick involvement, and there's Limerick sprinklings across the teams as well, outside of the Limerick institutions as well. So a very exciting competition, and I know we had Jamie Waddle in last week looking at it a bit more depth, but great competition for Limerick hurling fanatics as well to have a look at.
Absolutely, Tom, and starting with UL tonight, against SC2 Waterford out in UL's grounds. And as you said, like Mary I in action away in Galway tonight as well, and
ATU Galway, yeah,
ATU Galway, and then as you said, Toots Midwest tomorrow evening. Look, it's a fantastic competition. Two Limerick colleges in the final last year, a game you were at, and we've discussed at length, over the last year since it was played, what a game it was in horrendous conditions in Abbey You're looking. I'm just looking at notes here that I made before we get on. Like so many Limerick representation in UL, as is more well known, with Colin Coughlin confirmed as their captain for the competition, which is fantastic achievement for Colin. He follows in fairly big footsteps, that he has himself. For very big footprints he has himself. But it's great for Colin, and it's great for Ballybrown, and great for Limerick to have that kind of caliber of person, representing them in this year's competition. But you have to look at Adam English, you go to Paddy O'Donovan, you go to Aidan O'Connor, you go to Cathal O'Neill, who we know is injured at the moment, and then you look at the bench, like I said, Barry Duff, I'm going to miss players here, Conor Hanley Clark on the bench as well,
Evan O'Leary, John Fitzgerald
from the Pearshig as well. Of course, as we mentioned, Cathal O'Neill being injured, won't play any part in that, neither will Adam Screeney, of course. The awfully started in UL's panel this year. There's such a strong panel, Tom. That they've outside of that, they've Gerard O'Connor, who's back again this year from Tipperary, Moyne Temple Toohey. You've the likes of Mark Fitzgerald from Waterford, a full back, an outstanding talent. You've Derek Fahy from Galway in goals. like their goalkeeping options alone. You've Derek Fahey, Cian Broderick from Clare,
and they've three inter-county
goalies, and Conor Henley Clark dovetailing with as an outfield player as well. Just so much to offer in that UL team outside of that as well. Is it Jack Leahy from Cork, who's young Leahy, and I'm not sure if his first name is Jack or not.
Yeah.
He's been
Jack Leahy, Dungorney, yeah.
Serious talent as well. And that inside forward line we spoke before we came on air, how dangerous that inside forward line alone could be with Paddy O'Donovan and Aidan O'Connor in there as well. And my God, we know how good the two of them are. From Limerick senior hurling's point of view, it's fascinating as well. From my view as well, that we're getting another year of Fitzgibbon, of Adam English, Cathal O'Neill. Hopefully when he comes back to full fitness, this competition will still be going. We're not sure on the length of time he'll be out with that hamstring injury he picked up in the league final of the collegiate competition before Christmas. Colin Coughlin as well, who's been like always on the panel, but can he push his way into a starting berth for Limerick this year? These questions are still there. Paddy O'Donovan, Aidan O'Connor, the same. Maybe their chance will arrive for Limerick senior team this year. So many things. Evan O'Leary has been an outstanding, representative for Limerick underage teams. A great year by the hand last year. Will he get a look in? And then that's just UL. Like I have it down here.
Well, just to mention briefly, I know you're going to go to Mary I maybe there.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
SETU Waterford.
Exactly.
Barry Hennessy is lining up for them in UL this evening. Now again, as by the time people have heard this, the game, we might know the result. But Mary I, sprinkling of Limerick talent there. Shane O'Brien is one of the foremost, I'm sure, as well. Oisin O'Farrell, I think, is involved there as well.
Ian Scully's in there this year. Vince Harrington and
Jimmy Quilty's back to
William Dorr, currently on the panel from Drumnat Lacka. We mentioned earlier, he's on the panel. And of course, they have their other players that guided them towards Fitzgibbon glory last year, and Mary, I think 10 overall Limerick players on their panel. Same for Toos Midwest. You mentioned Jimmy Quilty, tough year. He came back for Blackrock after a cruciate ligament picked up with Limerick the year before, and that's curtailed certainly, I think, momentarily his Limerick inter-county career. But it could be an avenue. We've seen so many players over the year.
This is a great platform.
Absolutely huge platform. So hopefully he's fit and ready to go for Barry I. But just looking at the Toos Midwest, I'm just looking at picking out a couple of players. There's 10 Limerick.
Well, David Fitzgerald, Karen Paskenry is one that's been prominent in the club championship in recent seasons.
Yeah, and one I'm going to look at is closer home to you, who I think is a big talent. That's Barry Adams. He's been involved in Limerick underage teams as well.
Yeah.
And Man Mountain, I think, as most of the Adams clan are out your way, Tom.
Too many small men around there anyway.
No, there isn't. No,
he's a great target man for them.
He is, and he's a bit of a throwback, which is great to see as well. But plenty of hurling talent within that size as well. So a guy I'll be looking closely at tomorrow. I'm at that game tomorrow as well.
Remind us who today. That's Thursday evening. Who did I play?
It's DCU.
DCU on Thursday.
I think it's DCU. I'll have to double check that in Toos Midwest grounds. So I'm pretty sure it's DCU.
Yeah, all the letters of the alphabet nearly used in this competition.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. But and look, Toos Midwest. Darren Casey from Granite Ballingarry has been an outstanding player for them the last season or two in it as well. Look, in recent years, a team when LIT were always at the forefront of the competition hasn't always been the case in the last number of years, despite a big talented group of players within there, all inter, as you know, Tom. You've inter-county players coming out your ears when this competition starts, and they have a lot of underage, guys, a lot of guys that have come through Tipperary's system, guys that played with Tipperary last year. Keane O'Kelly's one who's been the outskirts of the Tip senior panel in recent years. Just the name off the top of my head. So, there'll be plenty of. I think David Fitzgerald, there was a lot of people disappointed in Kildimo Palace Kenry that he didn't get a look in with Limerick senior team for the year ahead.
Did a look at him last year, and whatever reason.
And again,
may come back around again.
Is he under 20s this year again? He's a young player. I'm not sure if he is under 20s this year or not.
He's overage for 20s now.
Is he? That's on me. But still a very young player, Tom, with a lot of hurling to play. And just because it doesn't happen for you one year doesn't mean it won't happen the next. If he has a very good campaign for Toos Midwest and has a very good championship year for Kildimo Palace Kenry, who had a tough year overall in 2024, maybe David can get back up that level where he is being looked at again for the Limerick side. So there's so many other things at play outside of, just looking at it from a Limerick senior hurling point of view. There's so many other lads on the outskirts that maybe thinking maybe I could give it a crack. They're looking at guys guys that have been brought into the panel. You only have to look at like the likes of Joseph Fitzgerald from Unleen, didn't make the UL Fitzgibbon Cup this team panel this year. Like that shows the level of talent within that UL 35. I know they're down for 33 tonight in their panel, but there's a couple of injuries involved in that as well. Like as a competition itself, Tom, it's something we have a great love for. I think anyone who goes to the competitions, we go out covering games and stuff, but I'm hoping to get. I'm not working at the UL games. I'm hoping to get out to it just to watch it because it's a fantastic competition. I think it's something we've spoken about before. It actually has a chance maybe now finally to get a block before the league where it can get those rounds done. Where there's no preseason competition, where players are playing 2 games a week and training 3 times a week, where they can fully focus on whatever they're doing with their counties and just on their Fitzgibbon Cup. And John Kyle has been a big supporter of the competition, and no doubt he'll be the same this year. And look, can't wait for it to get started.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, well said, John. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think UL and Mary I certainly among the clear favourites to go all the way this year, but only one of them, of course, can lift that famous all silver. Well, John, thanks for your contribution.
Just one thing before we finish, Tom. Laurel Hill, Colasta are in Munster final this Saturday. I don't have it to hand which team they're playing. Just wanted to wish them the best of luck in that Munster final. I don't have the details to hand, but I got a text before we came on air. Just don't forget about Laurel Hill. So apologies for the details. We'll put it up in our socials. Maybe we have the full fixture.
I think they beat the English element of their school or the next door neighbours.
I think it might have even been the vice versa, Tom. The English beat the Irish.
Oh, sorry,
I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah, it was them in the previous round anyway. Laurel Hill versus Laurel Hill. I'll have to double check it. We will put it up on our socials before Saturday anyway to let people know it again. Just wanted that in there. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, best wishes to all involved, and we'll keep an eye out for the result at the weekend, and hopefully. Bit of early season silverware coming back to Shannon's side. We'll never refuse it. There's no doubt about it. Okay, John, as I said, thanks very much for your contribution this week.
Sam.
Thanks to folks for listening, and we'll chat.